You know, have you ever really stopped to think about how the world's top executives build their wealth? I mean, really think about it. It's not about just climbing the corporate ladder. No, it's way bigger than that. It's about building a machine. And today, we're going to break down this incredible thought experiment, a 10-year plan to hit $30 million, dollars, inspired by the mindset of someone like Sheryl Sandberg. So, let's dive into the blueprint. All right, so what is the blueprint? Let's pose a question. If a top-tier executive, I mean a real heavy hitter, had to start from zero and aim for 30 million bucks in just 10 years, how would they even approach that? See, thinking like this, it completely changes the game. It forces you to stop worrying about the next promotion and start designing your path to the ultimate destination. And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the whole strategy. It's a total mindset shift. I mean, forget about chasing the next salary bump or that year-end bonus. That's small thinking. The real goal? It's to design a system, a personal wealth-generating machine that just keeps compounding your income, your equity, and your influence year after year. So, okay, how do we actually build this thing? Okay, so to build this machine, you've got to understand the mechanics, right? The whole system is built on just three, let's call them levers of wealth. And these aren't just little tactics. They are the absolute foundation for the entire 10-year plan. So here they are, the big three: equity, what we'll call scale roles, and multiple income streams. Now, none of these work in a vacuum. They all have to work together. You can think of them like the engine, the transmission, and the fuel system of that wealth machine we're talking about. Let's break down what each one actually means in practice. All right, first up, and this is probably the most important one, equity over salary. Every single time. Look, a high salary is great, it pays the bills for sure, but real, significant wealth, that comes from ownership. So the strategy here is to get laser focused on companies, especially those in hot sectors like AI or fintech, where a potential exit could deliver not just a nice bonus, but a truly life-changing amount of money. Lever number two, you have got to be in a role that actually matters. We call these scale roles. And listen, it's not enough to just be a senior person with a fancy title. No, you need to be in a role, think head of revenue or a key operations leader, that is directly, measurably tied to the company's bottom line. Your success has to be the company's success. That way, when the company wins, you win, and you win big. And finally, the third lever is all about diversification. Your main 9 to 5, that's just the beginning. The system really takes off when you start layering on other things, like advising startups for equity, maybe some angel investing, and building out your personal brand. Why do all this? Because it creates this incredible flywheel effect. Your growing reputation brings you better deals, which builds your wealth, which, you guessed it, makes your reputation even stronger. It just feeds on itself. Okay, a grand strategy sounds amazing, but it's totally useless if you don't execute, right? So how does all this big talk actually translate into what you do every single day? And here's the key. This isn't about working more hours. It's about a strict, non-negotiable discipline focused only on the stuff that really moves the needle. So this gives you a picture of that ruthless focus. Your day should break down something like this. 70% is spent on high-impact work. We're talking about things that directly drive revenue or scale the business. 20% is dedicated to building key relationships. And that last 10%, that's for everything else that, honestly, you should probably delegate. It's all about doing less, but making sure what you do is what truly counts. And this discipline really bookends your entire day. So mornings, they're not for clearing your inbox. No way. They're for deep strategic thinking and learning. You should be asking yourself huge questions like, what's the real difference between a $100,000 outcome and a $10 million outcome? Then in the evenings, it's all about targeted networking and building your personal brand. You end every single day with one simple question. Did today move me closer to my goal? So, we've got the daily habits locked in. Now, let's pull back from the day-to-day grind and look at the big picture, the entire 10-year architecture of this plan. The way you keep the momentum going is with a really consistent weekly and monthly rhythm. We're talking about building 2 or 3 new strategic relationships every single week, evaluating 1 or 2 startups to potentially advise or invest in, hitting 1 high-level event a month. See, this isn't just random networking. It's a system of constant inputs designed to create a steady flow of high-quality opportunities. And here it is, the whole 10-year journey laid out in 3 distinct phases. Years 1 and 2 are all about positioning, just getting into the right company in the right role. Then, years 3 to 5, that's the acceleration phase. This is where you're stacking equity and really expanding your influence. And finally, years 6 through 10, That's the harvest. This is when the liquidity events happen and you start scaling your impact even further with things like board seats and bigger investments. Now, during that critical acceleration phase, the machine really starts to fire on all cylinders. The goal here isn't just a nice paycheck. The target is to grow your net worth by $1 to $3 million every single year. This is where your main job, your advisory roles, and your investments all start to combine and compound in a really powerful way. And this is the payoff, the whole reason for the machine. The harvest phase is all about landing that big one, or maybe two of them. A major liquidity event, like an IPO or a big acquisition that brings in $10 million or more. That's the ultimate goal, a massive, concentrated return on a decade of strategic work. But look, getting to a payoff like that is obviously not guaranteed. So what's the secret sauce? What really separates a pretty good career from this kind of insane success? Well, it all comes down to a few key things, a few unfair advantages that make the difference between a $1 million outcome and a $30 million one. And this really breaks down the difference so clearly. See, the average career path gets you stuck in what we could call execution layers. You're just doing the busy work. The elite approach, though, is all about getting into the decision rooms. You want to be where the real choices are made, working directly with the CEO and the board, focused only on what drives revenue, not just checking off a to-do list. So the big differentiators are pretty simple to understand, but hard to do. First, you have to be absolutely ruthless with your time. Second, you have to get good at betting on huge trends like AI before everyone else does. And third, you have to build what you might call a personal monopoly. That just means becoming the one person everyone thinks of when they have a specific, high-value problem they need to solve. And look, to make a system like this actually work, you have to measure what matters. This is like a simple weekly scorecard you could use. Notice what it tracks. It's not about how many hours you worked. It's about the outputs that actually align with the plan. How many new high-value relationships did you build? What percentage of your time was spent on high-leverage work? How many new opportunities did you create? After all, what gets measured is what gets managed. So there you have it. The blueprint is laid out. The system is designed to do one thing: compound your wealth, your influence, and your opportunities over time. The machine is just sitting there, waiting to be built. So the only real question left is, what's your first move?